Just like that, it says we're live. I'm going to check it. Hold on a second, everybody. Oh, look, I can play around with the stuff over here with new technology. Means there's all kind of ways to distract the listeners. I'm not really sure this is how I want to do it. Welcome, everybody. It's our first upfront wrap-up with Jeff Styles and Clint Powell. Jeff, you're on. Just so you know, people see you now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Let me go listen real quick on Facebook.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Is it, though?
I'm so tickled. Haven't trimmed my beard in 3 weeks.
No, you've done good, man. It looks good.
Yeah.
You look really good. Let's see what it sounds like on Facebook here in just a minute when it pops up. Sure. I do want to tell everybody, though, before I go check everything, I got to set some expectations.
Lower them.
Yeah. Oh.
Lower them.
Very, 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 very low. Hold on. Here we go. It looks good. Yeah. You look really good.
Okay. All right. All right. This is so weird. I don't want everybody. No, let me jump in here before you do your thing.
First? Okay.
Let me just do this. So everybody knows how me and technology get along.
Right.
Not at all.
Right.
I'm a huge technophobe. So Clint's been talking about having cameras in this thing. And I got used to having cameras in there, even though I totally ignored them like I normally do everything technical. You know, we had it at the old podcast, had it at the old radio station, the Nuga radio. And so he's been talking about this forever. And I was thinking, yeah, it's just like adding that extra room, that new bathroom at the house, something you talk about. But I come in this morning and sure enough, we have this strange glowing orb, the HAL 9002 supercomputer, I'm sure powered by AI, which means to kill us all. Yes. And I've got the unblinking red eye of Sauron looking at me and listening to everything. Oh, I'm so comfortable. Okay. I feel so great about this.
Like, what is it, Ricky Bobby? I don't know what to do with my hands. I will say, let's lower expectations. It's new technology. I'm going to be fidgeting, trying to figure it out. The room's going to be looking different over the next week if the camera holds up and works over the next several broadcasts. We might get kicked offline. I have no idea. But people can comment if they want to. I'm assuming that we will slowly build over time some followers that may want this content. I'm going to try to clean up my language. I hope you're not as much an asshole. So
lower your expectations. Again, back to square one. I don't think I can change at this point, buddy.
Would you do me a huge favor, though? Because I think this will be good for everybody. If you will tell people what this podcast is, the Upfront Wrap-Up, what is the purpose of it, if you don't mind?
My name is Jeff Styles, spelled with a Y. Clint Powell is the podfather. He is the guy that launched multiple podcasts in this area way before the curve, way before everybody else caught up. And you can find all of them at nugapodcasts.com. Now, the two that I'm involved, actually three with the monologue, the two that I'm involved with are on Mondays, the Upfront Wrap-Up, and on Fridays, the Weekend Wind-Up. We do them now, as of now, live on Facebook at 9 a.m. And it's just an old-fashioned crossfire segment like you used to have on broadcast, networks, and certainly in the early days of cable news. It's you have somebody on the left, somebody on the right. Sometimes it's two people on each side, three people on each side. But basically, we talk about the headlines of the day through my perspective, being progressive, through Clint's perspective, being conservative. And notice I didn't say Democrat and Republican. I'm speaking for me here, but I think I'm speaking for him as well. And that's it. I check the legacy media, the traditional media, the networks, the newspapers, the magazines. I get a feed like everybody else on my phone. But basically, I just go with the big headlines, the big banners, and we come in and we talk about them. And I give my spin, and Clint responds, and sometimes he brings in something that's hot. We try to talk about local stuff and regional stuff. Maybe don't do that as much as we should, but that's it. And, somewhere around an hour long or so. And now I do a monologue on Wednesday called Death by Boomer. That won't be on camera.
And you can find all this at, like you said, the Nuga Podcast, it's plural.com, or thejeffstyles.com. And that's where I just kind of put all the stuff you and I do, or you do by yourself.
I said, During the Break podcast is what we actually fall under. There's a couple of tents under the big tent, and we're under the During the Break podcast. And and then thejeffstyles.com, a website that Clint launched for me. So.
All right. So here we go. So now that he set up what the show's about, encourage people to share it. I'll promise this. If you listen to this show any length of time, there'll be some laughs. You will see Jeff and I get angry with each other, but you won't see us end on bad notes because people are supposed to be able to disagree. We may say things you agree with and probably some things you don't agree with. 100% guaranteed on that because we do come from it. I do want to push back. I do watch mainstream media, but Jeff.
Oh, I know.
But here's the thing. Jeff thinks you only see mainstream media. Let me look directly into the owl, the eye of the owl.
Yeah.
Jeff thinks you only see mainstream media if you have NBC. I don't. I go to their Facebook page where they post, they curate their own stuff via the social medias, which is killing us all. Back to you, sir.
Yeah, and I try to avoid the thing that's killing us all, including you, Hal.
Are we going to name him Hal instead of Al? He's Hal.
Don't do it, Dave. Stop, Dave. I'm losing my mind, Dave. I'm losing my memory. I feel it. And I'm the dude out here in space just got cut out. Woo!
I would have given $1,000 if your chair had just flipped the first time we go live.
Give me $1,000. I'll do a backflip.
Can I pay payments on that?
Nor'easter blizzard, slamming. Well, the nor'east, as we talk. Woke up this morning with a half inch of snow on the ground. It's snowing to beat the band at my house.
It's flurry in here.
Yeah, it is. I mean, snowing to beat the band. You know that cool effect you get. Hey, and nobody called it. They were saying we might get some snow Monday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning. They took all that off the forecast. Woke up this morning late, a little late. My wife's phone alarm didn't go off, and I told Clint, I opened my eyes. I said, I know it's a pert near such and such o'clock. It shouldn't be that light outside. It was the reflective light from all the snow on the ground. On the way in, though, what was fun is, that weird effect. I'm sure there's a name for it. When you have light snow that's been whipped around by wind, and especially the wind of the vehicles going down the interstate, and you get that weird kaleidoscopic mishmash, of motion, and it's very hypnotic. I had that all the way in this morning. If it doesn't have a name, we need one.
Russell Stroud said, looking good, fellas. Heavy flurries in Red Bank.
Yeah.
Like we're tuning
coming
in
down.
Like I'm David Carnes or David Glenn.
But I mean, seriously, they already had, I think, as I walked out the door, they already had, like 14, 15 inches in New York, and it's just really started. I think it's interesting to note, Mayor Mamdani of New York City said all transportation is verboten, taboo, forbidden, starting at, I think it was sometimes in the wee hours of this morning until like late in today, sometime in the PM afternoon, and said, just stay off the streets. We're ordering people to stay off the streets. Yesterday, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, declared that all of the blue laws in the state of New York were lifted so bars and lounges could open at 6 a.m. so people could go in and watch the hockey game. So you had the governor going, run out as fast as you can and get in a bar and drink as much as you possibly can and fire up those cash registers, and then everybody run home before we shut everything down. And luckily she did it that way, because I guarantee you there was some screaming and hollering going on.
All right, two things. One about New York. Second is about the owl. How?
Yeah.
So next time, just say I'm learning in real time.
Yeah.
This is an old brain learning.
Yes, I
I'm
understand.
going to put you in that chair.
Okay.
Because right now we are looking third party.
Oh, I understand.
But eventually, if I put you in that chair,
we'll be staring each other down.
Yeah,
it'll look like we're staring each other down.
By the way, if you live in New York, don't worry. If you want to be an emergency shoveler, you can register with the city if you bring 5 forms of identification, 2 which are picture IDs. So continue on, and if you
but you won't need that to vote. You just need that to be an emergency shoveler.
Does that mean that there's minorities can't shovel?
Did you?
I don't understand how that works.
All right, let's get to the important.
That's silly.
Let's get to the important stuff. And seriously, I mean, it's going to be a very serious situation. It's a classic nor'easter, which kind of, when we say we're getting southwesterly winds, that means the winds are coming from the southwest. And when you get a classic nor'easter, it looks like the front, because it's true. This is the way it really is. The front is actually moving from south to north, kind of moving towards the northeast, but the winds are whipping back around in a cyclonic way, like in a tornado or a hurricane. They're coming counterclockwise. So the storm's moving this way, but the winds are coming this way. Mm-hmm. And that's for the northeastern part of the United States, from almost D.C., certainly Baltimore, up to Maine. Those nor'easters are the things that lay them low, because that's a lot of moisture, and it hits cold immediately, and it will pile up. So they got that going on this morning. Did you watch the game live?
Okay, I did not. Oh
my God!
But I will say the our female and male hockey teams have totally. That's the way to end the Olympics, right?
No, there's no doubt.
That's unbelievable.
It was absolutely unbelievable. Do you remember our old buddy Jeff Harmon? Jeff Harmon. Biggest hockey fan I know. So he and I have gone probably for a year and a half without communicating just because we live in different worlds. And I reached out to him a week and a half or so ago as we watched the hockey teams begin to climb, and we've been communicating back and forth. And I told him yesterday, I said, literally, there's never been a time in my life, in my entire life, where I've watched from front to back 3 hockey games in 1 week.
Right.
And I did. Obviously, the women taking gold, then the men advancing, and then the men's game for gold against Canada. And it was an absolute incredible game to watch. So we get the gold. It was in overtime. They led the game 1-0 pretty much the entire time. We score at the tail end of the third period, and then we go in, and the way they do it, it's 3-on-3. The puck is just like a jump ball in basketball. Nobody gets the advantage. You get the ball. First one to score wins. We scored within a couple of minutes. Guy's name is Jack Hughes that scored. He actually lost teeth in this game.
Mm-hmm.
He got high-sticked and literally just caught the stick in his mouth, went down. There was blood on the ice. He gets back up, does not go to the bench. He's missing a tooth here. I can do this since we got the camera. A tooth down here. Plays the game, gets the winning goal. U.S. wins 46 years to the day that we took our last gold. It was, and here's what people don't remember: we took the gold in the 1980 Olympics, but we took the gold from Finland. Russia was the silver medal game.
Yeah.
Whoever won that game was guaranteed a silver.
But we had beat Russia.
But we just beat Russia. But it was 46 years to the day that we took the gold from Finland. It was magic.
And in both games, overtime.
Yeah, overtime. Yeah, but just absolute. And in Olympics, there is no shoot off. There's nothing like that. They just keep going until somebody scores. It was so exciting, and we were absolutely through the roof. I've seen the replays. Every time I see the replay, I get chills. The player of the game, without a doubt, Connor Hellebuck, the goalie, he blocked 47 shots on goal. 47 shots on goal by the most aggressive bunch of knuckleheads. They hate each other.
Yeah.
It's old-fashioned hate, baby.
Let me jump in real quick. Russell Stroud said, you don't have to love him or hate him. The president calling the winning team was pretty badass.
Oh, yes,
he said, I got to shake the hand of the goalie.
Yes.
But this comes after, I don't know if it's a couple years ago, somebody will remember, when they booed us during the national anthem.
No, it was
as soon as they dropped the puck, it was gloves off.
It was earlier. Yeah. It was last year, and we had two matches with Canada, and in one of them, 3 fights broke out in the first 5 seconds, not 5 minutes.
Oh,
in the first 5 seconds of the game, they had game-stopping fights that broke out, gloves off,
just
everything.
Remember, you're a top hat, everybody. You're the top hat, so you're an accessory.
The Tkachuk brothers. Can you have a better name as a goon hockey player as Tkachuk? The 2 Tkachuk brothers, also standouts in the game. It was absolutely amazing. I loved it.
And you're into the Winter Olympics more. I like the Winter Olympics. I like some of the events, the speed skating, the downhill stuff, the speed we talked about. I'm more of a Summer Olympics person, but that's okay.
Watched, of course, the closing ceremonies yesterday. Being the artsy part of the Olympics, the opening games and closing ceremonies have to get weird at some point. Apparently, it's in their contract. They have to. They have these characters walking out from Italian history, and hey, I think I recognize that person's from the Napoleonic era. I know that's French, but that person's from the Renaissance era. And then we have Lady Gaga from some sci-fi movie. Lady Gaga meets Hellraiser Pinhead walking out. I don't know what that was supposed to be representing. But yeah, watching the cauldrons turn off and then shrink back up again, because the cauldrons were cool. They started out like this, compact. And then once the flame ignited, they spread out into this big, huge thing. And it made me sad. I hate to see them go. I mean, this is one of those things, I only get it once every 4 years at the end of college football.
Yeah.
Then I've got the Super Bowl, and then I've got nothing.
Baseball.
Except for Winter Olympics.
You got baseball.
Yeah, I've got
Brian
baseball.
Stone. Shout out to Brian Stone. Baseball.
That's great. Yeah, I used to like baseball. I quit watching baseball like you quit watching NFL at the first time they struck. The first strike that they had that stopped the season helped the lookouts. We had people coming up from Atlanta, baseball junkies, and suddenly our stands were filled.
Yeah.
But it just turned me so off to that game. I've never been able to reinvigorate on it.
All right.
But I think total medal count, Let me see if I'll have it here in a second.
Yeah, I think we were second to
Let's see, 33.
Norway.
We were second, second only to Norway. We had 33 total medals, 12 golds, which is the most we've ever had in a Winter Olympics. Mentioned, of course, the players of this game. There was a big kickoff to Greece in 2030 and to LA in 2028. And we're thinking, LA, that's 2 years off. That's a long way. Man, that's going to be here so fast. Did a nice little handoff with All the Leaves Are Brown, California Dreamin'. That was Kate Hudson singing that, by the way. If you did not recognize the beautiful blonde that was singing that incredibly well-done, produced video piece. It was a blast. Good. I enjoyed the games so much. And, yeah, it saddened me, but it certainly wasn't a surprise that it got politicized. Everything got politicized. Every post-game speech.
Well, if you liberals would stop doing that. That's why I have cameras. I love having cameras because now when he's talking, I get to go like this. So I used this the other day. Do you remember Three's Company, the TV show, right?
Oh, no, I don't remember that.
So I did it right then. What's the old guy? The one he would say something funny and he'd go into the camera. It was Don Knotts was the guy, but then it was the old flabby face guy. It was Mr. Fergie. Mr. Fergie. I don't know. Now you're
Ferger. It was Mr. Ferger.
I don't know. I just know he would say something funny and he would do this. So while you're talking later on, because you're going to get into headlines, I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to go.
Well, see, I'm practicing my look like Jim from The Office. You're gonna be over here spewing some BS. I'm just going to go.
Absolutely. No, I have a
like
feeling.
Jim from The Office. You go with Mr. Ferger. I'll go with Jim from The Office. We'll see. Let's see who gets higher ratings. Yeah, he was always. He always had the filthy mind. Yeah, he always had the filthy mind. And I want you to think about that. That show existed because a gay man living, or a man living with a woman. Let's start there. Let's start there. A man living with a woman unwed in the early 70s was still uncool.
He lived with two of them.
And then there were two women, and he moved in with them because he needed a place to go, and that didn't make sense. So he had to pretend to be gay so there wouldn't be any hanky-panky behind the scenes. And that made it okay as long as he was a gay guy. So the entire show, Jack Ritter's pretending to be gay, using all of those social stereotypes, the hands and all that stuff, so he could live with the two hotties with no suspicion that he was actually tapping at it. Or either one of them. Facebook doesn't have any rules. Come on now. Facebook doesn't have any language rules. You'll be the first one to let an S word go. Don't you think otherwise?
How many episodes did you and Jeff do on Facebook? One. We did one.
No, that's pretty insane.
What else we got for us today?
All right, so let me see here.
Yep. Go get your notes.
Getting back up on it like I want it, doggone it.
The guy that says planning's for dullards, Jeff plans now like nobody's business.
Well, it's a totally different world.
It is.
When I had to come in and I had to have one thing to say, at 6:05 a.m., that was easy. Then I just went with the flow. Now I got to come in. I got to be ready. Obviously, the hard news, doing a podcast like this, and it will change now that we're live, but doing a pre-recorded, which we've done well over 3 years now. It was 3 years in October. The drawback is by the time that show hits, a breaking news item can actually come out between the time I leave here and the time I get to the gym or to my meeting downtown or something like that. By the time our actual recorded podcast gets on the air, that just completely takes all the subjects we were discussing off the front burner. And that happened on Friday because we had a great show on Friday. We locked in on a couple of things. We agreed on a couple of things. But then as soon as I get to the car, the Supreme Court decision was handed down saying that Trump's tariffs, the ones based on IEEPA, we'll come back to that in a second, are illegal. So for the rest of the day, I heard everybody else in the world talking about stuff we had not talked about that day.
The floor is yours, sir.
And it's somewhat irritating. So the Supreme,
if only we could go live 24 hours a day.
The Supremes knock it down, and it's a 6-3 vote. And this is a small case. There were a number of small businesses, but the one that was at the lead of, the one that's the name of the business is VOS Selections. It's a wine importer place. It's a wine importer, private mom and pop wine importer. So they filed the suit against the tariffs that were based on IEEPA, IEEPA. Those of you who are interested in stuff like this, and this podcast probably already know this, that stands for the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. It came into being in the 70s, about the time that Jack Ritter was pretending to be gay on Three's Company, about that time.
Great time reference.
And basically everything that Trump has been depending on with this massive executive power, which I think we both agreed was probably an overreach from the beginning. There are other ways to get tariffs, and we're going to be working on those right now. As a matter of fact, we already have one in place. Again, we'll get to that in a second. But literally, Stevie Wonder could have seen this coming. There were no.
I think you could see anyway.
Every red flag was flying, saying this isn't going to pass muster from the beginning until Friday when it finally hit. So they shouldn't have been surprised, but they certainly acted like they were.
I don't think they were.
3 justices. It was. For God's sakes, how did it go? It was Roberts, of course, John Roberts, the Chief Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch voted with the 3 liberals. So a 6-3 vote. And that just take us all the way back to Liberation Day. All of those tariffs that were laid out on Liberation Day are now null and void and illegal. So you've got that collected by Trump's account, $143 billion. Those tariffs based on IEEPA. And he's bragged about that number. And of course, it goes up every time. Tomorrow's the State of the Union address, and he'll brag about them again because he wants them back. Yes, as predicted, he lashed out viciously at the justices. Again, something we can get more into in just a second. But I guess about $100 billion of that immediately comes into question. This is the big question today. Supreme Court has ruled. What they did not rule on in any way, shape, or form, they didn't even mention it, is rebates, refunds. But that is the big question from corporate America today. Those of us who paid it, the large corporations, the small businesses like VOS Selections, will we get refunded the money? And that, as the president said, will now have to be litigated. Yeah. So I'll wrap up my first section of this. Said the big winners here, don't get it confused. The big winners of this Supreme Court decision, trade lawyers. Trade lawyers are about to make 15 lifetimes worth of income over the fights that are going to now be engaged, because the government is not going to give that money back easily, not willingly. And I can also, I believe, predict that us consumers who paid more for whatever product we bought, we will never see that money again. The companies may get it back. I don't think that we're going to be seeing a refund in the check or an immediate drop in prices so we can go buy the same thing again and somehow save money. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, this affected about 75% of the tariffs that Trump put in place.
Yes.
There's other things that he can do. He's already said there's other ways. I think they already have a plan in place. I've said it last week. I'll say it again. If anybody cares about the data, you can go look it up. The savings that the American families had under lower inflation outweighed anything that we might have paid for tariffs. And I will say personally, and this is the pain point we've talked about, if my friend Jeff Styles or anybody puts something in place that is going to fix something that's a problem, like trade or the economy, and you say it's going to be 10 years, but you're going to give me something now that's going to have pain in one hand and help the pain in the other hand, and it's going to be close to the same or even help a little bit, but my kids are going to be better, I think that's a good trade-off. That's just me. The Wall Street Journal, who's not a big fan of Trump at all, had a great article last week. Here's what it said real quick. We're just going to stick. This is kind of in the tariff economy world.
Well, this is the topic.
Well, this is it. This is said over the last 13 months. GDP's growth at around 2%. It's not exactly what they want. Unemployment is between 4.5, which is historically low. Wages rising faster than inflation for 2 straight years. Inflation sharply down from 2022-23 peaks. Consumer spending remains strong. Business investment, especially with AI and tech, is very solid. Savings from the falling inflation offset previous costs from tariffs. So Americans were paying less overall than feared based off tariffs. Because the thing was,
let me jump in and agree on that.
Okay.
I think that the world is going to come to a crashing in predictions, which many of us bought into with this tariffs. It's just going to halt the global economy. Those fears did not come to fruition. But I also believe I don't think the other shoe had dropped yet. But go ahead.
Well, all I was going to say is you add all that up, the overall economic picture is not horrible. And you throw in from the media the squishy word affordable, which we've talked about can mean different things to different people in real time compared to 20 years ago or even just from one neighborhood to the next. And all of a sudden, the question that the Wall Street Journal had, and I thought was a pretty good question, is if the numbers are looking good, how come people don't feel like it's looking good? And this is where Jeff and I look dead to Howell. This is where Jeff and I disagree a lot because I think the media, most of the media is just corrupt as shit. And I think if you hear something long enough, if you get fed the lie long enough, you believe it's the truth.
Well,
back to my
well, yeah. I mean, just look at the Trump administration. A third of the people in America.
Here we go.
The third of the people in America believe anything he says. Yeah,
we don't believe anything.
Every time he says
Some
something,
of us have the ability to parse it apart,
baked in. And by the way, you know what? We might as well go with.
Here we go.
No. Let's go with the word howl, because here's the deal. Of course, from 2001: A Space Odyssey, the bad guy, I think one of the best bad guys in movie history, was Hal, the supercomputer.
I completely forgot about
Hal was HAL. It was one letter away from IBM. HALIBM, one letter away. So they didn't want to get sued, so they called it HAL. So I joke about HAL, but there's two glowing eyes. It's not just one red eye of Sauron. There's two glowing white eyes that look like the eyes of a great horned owl.
Yeah, that's why
out in a cubbyhole. So now I think that Howl is definitely the name of this evil creature that sits between us. So it's Howl now.
Yeah.
Just in case there was some confusion between Owl and Howl, we're just going to combine the two.
And I do want to say this about the Supreme Court thing, and then I'll hand it back to you. You drive this thing. I don't mind the Supreme Court. This is where Jeff and I will get in disagreements. I'm not an apologist for the Trump. I hold him accountable more than anybody I know. I think he does a lot of bad stuff. He says a lot of bad things, but I like more than I dislike. But I also like when the Supreme Court, when everybody goes, oh, they're bought and paid for. Well, they're not, apparently. They come out and did this major blow to him.
This was the check and balance the way it was supposed to work.
I can disagree with the decision, but the one thing I do like about this is that it prevents whoever comes next to do something I may not like. We forget that power is not ours, as far as my party, all the time.
As much as you might think it's going to be good for your kids, as much as you might agree with what he was trying to do, if he does it in an unconstitutional manner, it cannot be allowed. And that's what the Supreme Court ruled yesterday. I mean, with no equivocation, no equivocation whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's what I have said from the very beginning, since Liberation Day. Where is the emergency? It could be argued that the border was an emergency at the time,
but
it was not. It was not a national emergency that had to be fixed with martial law, level presidential orders. And that's what Robert said yesterday.
Right.
He said the powers are clearly delegated. The powers to tariff are clearly delegated to Congress. We talked about the constitutional crisis. In my opinion, we looked for it. I looked for it. I knew it was going to happen at some point. I said, as long as he doesn't openly defy a Supreme Court order, we are not yet at constitutional crisis territory. As of today and tomorrow, with the State of the Union address tomorrow, we could be edging closer to it, or we could be edging closer away from it, further away from it, I should say. Roberts continued, he said, they need a distinct congressional law to adjust the tariff policy to make this happen. He says you have to be able to point to an unambiguous delegation of power from Congress to the president for him to be able to do the Liberation Day type tariffs the way he did. I'm looking here. The New York Fed, the St. Louis Fed all say the same thing. Consumers through retailers took the blow. Consumers, for the most part, picked up the tab, 94% of those tariffs. 94% of those tariffs. And again, I'll say it again, the retailers may get their money back. That's going to be a long, ugly road, but I don't think that we will ever see that money back. Again, maybe this is an argument that had to happen, but it's ugly. And you're right. Now, here's the two sections that he can use that he's already put in place. He announced immediately, we're going to come back to that too, a 10% global tariff across the board. That's what we started with on Liberation Day, 10% global tariff across the board, but he used IEEPA to do it. And then he started to put the sliding scale, this much for Brazil, this much for Canada, this much for China, this much for Botswana, whatever it was, and all that had to go away. Within hours of him lashing out at the Supreme Court justices and throwing the 10% out there, and people saying, well, now can he do this? The answer is yes. Sections 232 and 301 of the Trade Act allow him to impose certain tariffs. But to get back at the people who are backlashing him, he said, I'll make it 15%. So that's where we are as we wake up today. There's a 15% global tariff on every single country in the world as they bring stuff into the United States of America.
But let's
and that is legal as of now.
Yeah.
There's not that's
been used before.
This is an old school tariff that he used. Those sections I just mentioned, you can look them up if you want to. Let me tell you again, 232 and 301, so you can be better informed than us.
But I will say again, I've already said it once. I probably don't need to, but a lot of the tariffs costs have been offset, so the economy is actually a little better. The fear of it's going to crush everything didn't happen. The other side of that, too, is he had used it. This is the part that gets frustrating, and I wish we had a Congress that would do their damn job, especially when you've been elected by the people. He could get Congress involved. I don't think he trusts Congress right now. I don't really trust Congress right now, even though the conservatives control it, because it would be great to be able to continue to do what he's doing with Japan and with China. Again, me and you agree. I don't think you ought to go after our allies like Canada as strong as he has. It's an offset.
No,
I get
that's
it.
personal vendetta.
Well, me and you disagree. I just think it's a bad decision, but it must be working out pretty good. Seems to work in the economy. But all of these ways he's been affecting other countries via tariffs. It's very frustrating because I see effectiveness there that now I think they're neutering.
Again, a tool can be effective, very, very effective, and be illegal. It can be unjust, immoral, and unethical. It can be damn well effective, as we all know.
I don't know if it makes it immoral.
I think that if it's illegal, I guess you can argue that it's on its face immoral.
Well, I don't know. But real quick, it ran the course too. I remember Biden going through the Supreme Court, and actually, when he got turned, he said, "We're just going to ignore it and find another way to do it."
You're absolutely correct. And guess what? All three of the justices that ruled in favor of Trump's tariffs ruled against Joe Biden in the exact same way, using the exact same arguments.
But
Biden versus Nebraska, 2023. Gorsuch brought this out yesterday when you had Clarence Thomas as predictable as a rock sitting in a sludge pool. You know what he's going to do, whatever the hell Trump tells him to do. He's never used his brain, his massive intellect, to do anything independent in his entire life.
That's
paid for,
crap.
corrupt.
You're lost your mind.
Cruise here, jetliners here, island vacation here. I've got business in front of the court. Let me write you a check. Clarence Thomas is a piece of crap, and he knows it, and I can't wait for him to be gone. But when all these guys are going, and these people are working against the betterment of America, Neil Gorsuch comes out and points out, he goes, that's funny, because all three of these justices, all three of them ruled zealously in defense of the major questions doctrine in the past, which was the Biden forgiveness of student loan. Yeah. So they argued.
The student loans and tariffs are the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're the same. Absolutely. And COVID shots are all the same. Everything's the same. There's no apples and oranges. I'm just saying.
Again, you're kidding. No, I'm saying they're using this argument to say he cannot do this, and then they use the exact same argument.
I'm not saying
talk to Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch about it and figure out how deep you want to go. But they used the exact same argument and went the other way without a good explanation.
Is Gorsuch a good judge?
I don't know. I don't know who's a good judge and who's not.
You just said Tom's a bad judge, so you don't know.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, Clarence Thomas is a piece of crap. Yeah. And he has been and he always will be. He can't change.
It's because he disagrees with Jeff Styles.
No, it's because he does what he's told to do by the people that write him checks. Oh. That's simple. Do you really want to keep going down this?
No, we can go whatever you want.
All right. So my whole point, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Neil Gorsuch, he ruled the way I wanted him to on this one. I thought I could have told you. I did tell you over and over again this wasn't going to stand.
You agreed on
and
this.
So we get deeper and deeper in the hole, $145 billion in the hole. And now we've got this new big smelly fish we got to fry. Had they ruled the other way, I believe we would have already been in constitutional crisis because the Supreme Court would have clearly been in Trump's pocket. Every legal mind, Eric Buchanan will agree with me on this, every legal mind knows that this thing was not going to stand up.
I think
it was not going to pass muster.
We all talked about it, and I can have, two things can be true at the same time. I can completely disagree with the decision. I can think Thomas is a good judge still, and at the same time, I think we should respect what the Supreme Court says, and Trump will find ways to do it, and if he doesn't, then he should have done it right the first time. I don't mind
Judge
that.
Alito is the one that wrote the majority decision saying that corporations were people and that they had the rights of a person.
And me and you agree
we
that's
we
not
both agree.
good.
So
Yeah.
is he a good judge or is he a bad judge?
I think he's a judge, and they're going to do things I like and things I don't like. That's what I think.
Here's
But
my,
he knows what a woman.
here's my question. Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Literally, the 15%. So that's just an immediate. Well, we got to have that money back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tax. I'm just saying right now, it's a tax. And if anybody who disagrees with that, I'm just going to ask this question. What problem is it solving? This 15%, it started out as 10, it turned into 15%. Again, random numbers coming out of some small unused recess in Trump's brain where we normally keep our selflessness and our decency.
Through on the first show.
But it comes screaming out. So let's just make it 15.
Okay.
What problem is it solving? It's 150 days. That's how long it lasts unless Congress basically lengthens. They have to sign off on it.
Yeah.
So onshoring, bringing industry back from other countries, bringing it from offshore back into this country for 150 days? I don't think so.
Well, Japan and other countries are doing it now.
Corporate remodelings. Is that going to happen? No. Without the sliding scale, it can't be used as a punitive thing.
Right.
You can't go after this country or that country for whatever reason. It's a tax. He basically said, well, hell, we got to keep the money coming in, 15% tax. That may very well be within his right, but let's just call it what it is. And we argued about this. A tariff is a tax. He said, no, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're manipulating. That was all in the fantasy world that is now gone.
The economy seems to be responding pretty
15%.
good.
Wait, yes, retail stocks skyrocketed.
No, I mean the last 13 months, the economy is responding pretty good to all this. My thing, because you asked me a question, what problem? I think it's buying him a few months to work it out with Congress.
Fair
or
enough.
Come up with another solution.
Fair enough.
That's exactly what I think.
But again, I mean,
and also I think he's using it.
And what I just said, we have to keep the money coming in. That's what I said. So 15%. Because we've got to make sure. We got to make sure we've got this income coming in because now we're when you get a raise, what do you do? Your cost of living adjusts up to make you poor again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what we're looking at, right?
And I think last year was the first year or the last couple of years we've had the first time a reduced deficit in a long time.
Retail stocks spiked on the news, and that's because it's like, thank you for taking. Here's you can take this 2 words: chaos reigns.
Yeah,
chaos reigns right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So I don't think anybody's going to be making a huge investment. All of these numbers he keeps throwing around are still promises. Nobody's going to be making a huge investment right now, just like you don't see a bunch of companies racing to Venezuela right now because it's a great big question mark. I think the retailers.
I think the investments are coming into the United States the last 13 months. That's what I think.
When you talked about the good economic news, this is one of the things. It's amazing. Here, I'll show it to the camera. This is a show. This is a show. This was Friday's show.
Or he's writing himself prescriptions. I don't know which it is.
These have circles around them. This is the stuff we didn't get to because Clint argued with me so much. These are the things. These are the important things we didn't get to because
I can take myself off the screen.
We dug down on it.
Yeah.
Here, this was one. Goldman Sachs last week talked about the immigration. All right, well, talk about State of the Union tomorrow. Oh. Obviously, we're going to lead. Well, first of all, winning the gold in hockey. I've got $100 bill. Anybody wants to take this bet, feel free.
Okay.
You can pile up. I got $100 bill that says the first thing that comes out of his mouth, other than whatever the frippery is that you have to do for the State of the Union, will be the USA gold, in hockey. But after that, it's going to be a listing of bragging points and accomplishments. One of them being the biggest one, immigration, right? And Goldman Sachs said, because of the huge reduction in immigration, 80% drop in immigration, 0 at the border right now, but still legal stuff coming in. Here's an unforeseen circumstance. Fewer workers mean the unemployment will go down automatically. In other words, the break-even point will go from, at a given number, 70,000 unfilled jobs to 50,000 unfilled jobs because the workers aren't out there. So, these, like we've talked about, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. Yeah. Goldman Sachs is saying that basically saying that unemployment is going down in coming months might not necessarily be good news, because there's going to be a lack of workers to fill a lack of jobs, because manufacturing has not picked up its pace yet. Maybe, again, promises are out there.
Well, we live in a microwave world. Maybe it's just not happened yet. That the guy's been in office 13 months.
What kind of effect will it have on housing and things of this nature? It's just one of the things we would have talked about.
But you just said a minute ago, if something's illegal, it could be immoral too. So if you're here illegally, there's a way to stay here. And again, me and you find common ground for people who have not tuned in before. Me and you find common ground. If you came over here, I hate to repeat it. If you came here at 8 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, you didn't have a choice. You've been here 10, 15, 20 years. Yet let's find a way to get you here. I don't mind those conversations, but there's a big gap in between here of if you're hateful and you're a racist if you want the people who are illegally out, or you're a socialist if you want to keep everybody in. In the middle is some common sense that we seem to have lost.
Well, the other winners is essentially any foe of Trump who will use this to beat him up, and especially those who want their checks immediately to get rebates in the world of business. And the losers, I think, again, just because of the confusion, I think consumers, you'd think, well, this will be good for us. Not anytime soon.
I think
in the long game, it probably will be. Again, I'll go back. Most of the experts will say, you talk about wages and unemployment and this and that and inflation, but in the long run, I think we all know that we are going to be paying these tariffs. The companies that have eaten them were eating them for a period of time, probably waiting for this decision. I think pretty much at this point, you can expect anything. If they get hit with a cost, that cost is going to get rolled down to you. Right. So we don't know how it's going to basically shake out. So State of the Union tomorrow.
Right.
He's going to start off with the gold. Then he's going to blast the Supreme Court justices, and he did. And I'll finish up my rant about that.
Let's hear it.
Saying that it was un-American. Okay. Saying that I'm ashamed of them. 100% okay, Mr. President. You can be ashamed of anybody. Yeah. Saying their families are ashamed of them might be a little bit of a stretch. Their families are ashamed of them. Yeah. Saying that they have been swayed by foreign influences is an accusation, a very serious accusation. I just said it about Clarence Thomas. I just said it, and I hold true to it. I think he is swayed by the people who pay him to do their bidding. Now, to say that about the entire Supreme Court, how hard will he go? He said they're barely invited to the State of the Union address. He was asked about that, and I guess he can uninvite them. I mean, it's just part of protocol that they sit up front, in their robes. Sometimes Clarence Thomas never goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas never goes.
Well, what?
So no, I'm just saying it's not a must. But he said they're barely invited. Will those three show up tomorrow because it's their duty? They want to show America that they stand behind their decision. I don't know if
their duty because Clarence Thomas will go. I think he doesn't want to go because he doesn't want to support.
I'm getting into their mind because we need to go and face the music, and he's going to go off on them.
He will on this one, but at the end of the day, you remember how I did a whole episode solo podcast. Me and you talked about it. Mr. President should hire me and you to do his PR at some point in time.
Certainly to bounce things off of us.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because at some point in time, they've given him a lot of wins. So it's like, if you don't agree with me all the time, then you're evil. Well, you're going to eventually, that's not a great way to endear yourself.
Here's what he has to deal with tomorrow, though. This is pretty stunning, and this is a pretty good polls. ABC, Washington Post, Ipsos. The highest number he gets of approval ratings is about 40% right now. Mm-hmm. He's looking at Trump disapproval ratings of anywhere between 60 and 65%, highest of either one of his terms. He's spiking right now, spiking in a bad way. He gets just right now 50% on the border, just because people are unhappy with the way the immigration roundup is working. 57% say they're displeased with the economy. 65% say they disapprove of the way tariffs have been handled, and that was all before what just happened. 31%, though, check this out. 31% say the Democrats could do better.
100%.
Only 31%. They're saying, we don't like this guy. 2/3 of us don't like the way he's doing his job. But 1/3 steps away when it says, well, what are you going to do next election time? They go, I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't think these guys have the answer. This is the world that you're waking up in today.
But that's why I get frustrated with Trump. And I've said this before, because he's not doing the conservative movement any favors, shooting himself in the foot politically. It's political malfeasance when you aren't more careful with your words. Again, I think I can justify a lot of his policies, if not most of them. I can't justify a lot of his rhetoric a lot of times, which is very, very frustrating. And just the immigration thing frustrates me because me and Jeff have had this conversation. Go to thejeffstyles.com and listen to him. It's amazing that they get to claim that as chaos when the elected Democrats in that state and city are the ones that stopped working with ICE to create a problem. And I don't understand how they're not held more accountable. But again, that might be part of the 31% that said they can't do any better anyway.
I think that the viewership of tomorrow's State of the Union address will be through the roof. I think the entertainment value is going to be off the charts.
Yeah.
Because he was so furious. He walked away from the Governors Association dinner, from a meeting that he had with the governor, saying, I got to go deal with this. So anyway, there you go. That's the tariffs thing. I said that was the topic. We've spent most of the show on that. Yep. Let me throw some other headlines at you real quick. You had the Mexican government using our intelligence that carried out multiple strikes across their country against cartels. The cartels, you may not have heard this yet, struck back. Particularly, we took out one of the drug lords, El Mencho. El Mencho is what we called him. We love nicknames for our drug lords. And his cartel, the New Jalisco Group, we've talked about this before. Jalisco's a state in Mexico. It's the New Jalisco Cartel. They took over the Guadalajara airport yesterday in retaliation. They basically bombed cars out front, set things on fire, and wandered through the airport, sending people scattering. The cartels still can control and lock down huge parts of Mexico. So what's in store for us? This is the Mexican government doing what we have asked them to do, which they should do, which is go after these killer thugs, these heartless, soulless bastards who kill people. They slaughter them like sheep, stuff them in barrels full of acid, and dump them off the coast somewhere. That's who we're dealing with here. Take them out. How long before we actually see tactical airstrikes from American warships or actual ground stations in Mexico, either with or without their approval? I'm not even voting good or bad or ill or ugly. I'm just saying, how long will it be? I'm going to say it's probably, depending on what happens in Iran, probably within the next month or so, because now there's momentum on the side of law enforcement.
Do me a favor, because I know we're going to move kind of fast the next 15 minutes. Can I go ahead and thank our sponsors real quick?
No, not at all.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I want to go ahead and tell the sponsors right now where I was. Of course you can thank the sponsors.
I think you're an actual client of Guardian Investment Advisors. I'm Gary Thurman.
We would not be. I got my latest 401k statement. Thank you, Gary Thurman and Guardian.
Hold on, let me change it. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump.
Yeah, because gold's going up because the world's in chaos. Gold is going up because the world is in chaos and freaking out.
What I'm saying? Even when things are good,
I'm keeping my head while all around me, those around me lose theirs. Yes, Gary is keeping my head in a safety deposit box.
Absolutely. We love Gary and the Guardian Investment Advisor folks. Also, Alchemy Med Spa. I have been there to get a facial in the past. I probably need one because I'm looking my age, which is that's pretty normal. And then our friends at the Vascular Institute of Chattanooga. I'm a patient. If you got any problems with your legs, circulatory issues, they are the people to deal with. I've had some issues in my right leg, and they get you in quick. They got a new business model over there. They don't want you to live in fear. If you got a problem, go see them. Yeah, you're getting all excited.
Somebody shared with me your post about, does anybody remember getting their haircut at Ingle Stadium? And somebody came back and said, do you remember getting your haircut anywhere?
Oh, it's Bob. Did you see the picture I posted back?
No.
I posted my mullet. No. I'm like, hey, your hate speech has been reported.
There you go.
Somebody in the UK will come arrest you immediately.
We had a man shot dead at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. He busted the gate doing 98. He had a pump shotgun, very much like the one I just bought the other day, and a gallon of gas, and wandered around with it until they said, hey, put it down. And he put it down and then picked it back up and they shot him dead.
Well, he put the gun up to shoot.
We don't really know much about him. He comes from North Carolina. He has no track record, no criminal record, not much of a record at all. As a matter of fact, he is an illustrator of golf courses. Mm-hmm. He literally has done pen illustrations, recently moved to watercolors, painting scenes at golf courses because he loves the aesthetic beauty of a golf course and people playing the game. And his family, from what I heard, were all Trump supporters. I don't know anything. I don't do social media, and I wait for other people to tell me what his profile is like. He seems to be a kind of a zero. He seems to be sort of a goose egg. You probably know more about it than I do.
I know exactly what you know. I mean, I don't know. Mainstream media, I'm sure, covered it.
And this, it came out every single time. There's never been a president who hasn't had a couple of people charge over the gate and across the lawn at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But that's the White House, and this was his private residence in Florida.
Third attempt?
Yeah.
Is this the third one?
Third that we know of.
Third that we know of. Count the one that Iran said they're threatening.
Do we even know? Can we count this actually as an attempt on Trump's life? Maybe he just wanted to burn Mar-a-Lago down.
Maybe
he knew he wasn't there. I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't either.
He was a nutcase, but we get nutcases all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Trump and Jeff Landry sending a hospital boat to Greenland. Jeff Landry, former Louisiana governor, now ambassador to Denmark, I believe. Yeah, Denmark, right? That's why he's in the mix up there. Sending a hospital boat to Greenland, a country that has free national health care, because they said that people up there are not getting the health care they need. Wow. Now, we found out something since then, and we've got, of course, the USNS Mercy and the USNS Comfort, which they used in New York during the COVID pandemic. So we've got two. One of them's going up there. Well, what is he talking about? Well, there was somebody on a nuclear sub, one of our people on a nuclear sub that apparently fell very ill. Mm-hmm. The Danish military airlifted him out of there yesterday. So that may have been a reaction to that. I don't know why we're sending a hospital ship to Greenland.
How many people in Greenland? How many people live in Greenland?
45,000.
Okay. Yeah, free medical. I like how we threw that in like we don't. Yeah. I don't know if that's exactly a good comparison, but I like how you did that.
Well, what do you mean?
They got free healthcare.
What's free national health? I'm saying I don't think where's the hue and cry coming from Greenland saying we can't get health care? I don't think there has been.
It was our guy.
Yeah, that's what we know that now. That's what I'm saying. When he first said we're sending it up there, everybody was going, what? Then we found out, but the Danes took care of him. And maybe originally they didn't. They said, well, by God, we'll send a whole ship up there. Again, personal grudges.
Do we need the United States to quarantine Greenland, put a fence around it to protect?
Don't think we won't. Don't think we won't. Matthew Maurin gave $1 million to MAGA Inc., literally the corporation, right before Trump denounced the Gordie Howe Bridge. We never got to talk about that either. You've got the Ambassador Bridge that runs between Detroit and Ottawa up there. And this guy, actually, Mr. Maurin, he owns the bridge. I didn't know you could actually, do you want to buy the Brooklyn Bridge? I didn't know you could actually own a bridge. So he doesn't want the Gordie Howe Bridge to go into effect. Uh-huh. And sure enough, guess what happens? It gets stopped by President Trump, who says, we're not going to do this until we get things settled with Canada. Yeah. So this guy continues to make money on his little Ambassador Bridge. Yeah. I'm assuming it must be a toll bridge.
The bridge to nowhere. Me and Jeff are going to have bridges. I want to build bridges. Me and you, that's what we do. We're bridge builders.
All right. How about this? Okay. DHS suspending the TSA PreCheck, the Global Entry Speed Up program, and then immediately TSA saying, no, we're not. We're not suspending that. It's still working. Yeah. Come on in. We've already got, ground stops and delays because of the blizzard. We don't need that. Probably trying to make a point about TSA.
Yeah.
So how about Kristi Noem's new jet? Does that please you?
I don't know.
The DHS just got a brand new Gulfstream to use for her purposes.
Okay.
And she said, no.
They didn't have one before?
No. They got a brand new one. She says, I want a better one. She goes, I want a better. So literally they're building her a $70 million plane. And
is it just hers or will it stay with the
that's
office?
just it. It's got a kitchen, it's got a theater, it's got a bedroom, it's got a bar, it's got flat screen TVs. And they said they're going to use it to deport criminals. Uh-huh. Kristi Noem, here's the deal. Here's my conspiracy hat. Okay. All right, here's my conspiracy hat this morning. All right, here's what happened.
Be the screenshot.
Kristi, you need to get the hell away from the damn TV camera. She goes, well, I don't want to. I'm looking awfully good right now. If you'll go shut the hell up, we'll get you a new plane that makes you feel like Jeff Epstein. You will be living large when you're in the air.
What do you got to do that for?
I mean, because he had the plane. He had the killer plane.
Because nobody else has killer planes.
Casey DeSantis going to run for governor in Florida? ? Vietnam vets suing to stop the Trump arch or independence arch that he wants to build. And their reasoning is because the line of sight, you've been to D.C., the line of sight between the Washington Monument and the Vietnam's memorial wall, that line of sight is part of the park process. It's actually part of the whole aesthetic value of it. If you put a big old huge Trump right next to us, you're going to block not only the view shed, you're going to block the natural path for people to get down to our wall. So Vietnam vets launching a lawsuit saying you can build it, but don't build it here.
Build it somewhere else.
Build it somewhere else.
That out.
And for those of you who have never been, let me tell you again. I remember when they actually had the design competition for the Vietnam Wall. We just called it Memorial then because we didn't know what it was going to be. And it was a young woman from Asia who won the contest. And you walk downhill into a trenched area, and there were people going, it's going to be a wall of shame. It's a pit of despair.
Yeah.
It's a ditch of shame and remorse. And no, what it is, it's an amazingly powerful thing. When you start walking, you're on the mall, you hear all kinds of traffic noise and people shouting and all kinds of things going on. You start walking down into that place and the soil kills the sound and it gets quiet. And it's one of the most powerful places in the world. So anyway, Kenyans are the latest Russian cannon fodder. You can look this one up if you want to. They've already gone through the Koreans that they had. They've gone through the Nepalese that they had, the Russians.
Oh.
Now it's the Kenyans. Kenya has sent out an alert to all of their people who were in Russia, and a lot of people migrate there because it's closer to them and they think it might be more friendly for some reason. There's work to be done. The work is now basically they're saying to the Kenyans, here's a gun. We're going to send you over there, fight for us without any training whatsoever. Yeah. So that's who we're dealing with. Don't forget who we're dealing with Russia. Edward Big Balls Korestein, the Doge guy, that the reason we have military in D.C. right now is because he got his ass kicked.
That's the reason?
Yeah, he's given a new cush job at sporting essentially right-wing viewpoints into Europe. It's liberty.gov, freedom.gov, and this is the J.D. Vance argument that there's freedom of speech is being squelched in Europe and that right-wing ideas and perspectives, including the nutcase ones, some that are very valid, like my friend Clint's, and some that are completely QAnon way out there, but they have a right to be there. So we shut down Radio Free Europe and Radio Free Liberty, and now we have freedom.gov getting right-wing opinions into Europe around their various barriers. And Big Balls is in charge.
Okay.
For what it's worth. I'm just going to say,
real quick, I wonder if he gave himself that nickname or if that name was given to him. Because, nicknames you can't have a nickname if you give it yourself.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I've said that. We had that same discussion just the other day about a certain mover and shaker and developer in this neck of the woods who nicknamed himself, and I will never use that nickname. Yeah. I will never use it ever. And when I meet him, I will refuse to use it.
I will.
I have a feeling he was given that because he just is a ballsy guy and he does things that other people wouldn't do at the age of 19 years old. I don't think it's actually about his physical attributes.
I didn't know. I just sometimes you get nicknames.
UAW contract also, something we did not discuss on Friday, voted in. 96% of the vote for the contract. That's the first one of its kind in the Southeast. Of one somber note, Wes Rucker, those of you, that name is going to be familiar to a lot of you. He worked at the Free Press, the Times Free Press, in the sports section for years, and he almost was exclusively on Vol's coverage, and Wes was killed last week in a car crash. Yeah. And that's a big loss.
Sad. Very sad.
And that's pretty much almost all I got. Last couple of things. I would say this. I think that when the Supreme Court struck down the IEEPA tariffs, I think there was probably a large percentage of the Republican Party who were secretly cheering, who were very, very happy to see it happen. They're not fans of it either because that's not what they're hearing when they go home. And I know they're told not to have town halls anymore. Some do, some don't. But I don't think that the tariffs are actually working for the average Joe Sixpack. I will say this, though. The advisors are screaming right now, either inside their own heads or actually out loud saying, tomorrow, sir, don't quadruple down on Iran. Iran is not a burning topic for Americans. Economy, economy, economy. Steer away from Iran, steer away from Cuba, steer away from Venezuela. That's not what we voted for. Immigration, yes. Border, yes. But economy first and foremost. This is just my crystal ball.
He needs to talk about these statistics I brought up, because when you say I don't think the average six-pack, all this, eggs are half of what they used to be. I don't know. I just think sometimes we need to be reminded, because I hate to keep harping on it. You can always talk about affordability, and that's always been different. That's not you can't really. Sometimes the data backs it up, and then sometimes it doesn't. And I think he just needs to do a better job. Technically speaking, I wish he would say, tonight, I'm giving it over to Marco Rubio. He will be giving the State of the Union. By the way, I've heard some people from the Democrats aren't even going to be there.
I hate it when they play those games. Yeah. All right, last thing I've got. This actually sent to me by a listener.
Then I'm going to let you finish up. Okay. I need to ask you this quick question.
Oh, yeah, please.
It's a burning question.
Yes.
Before we wrap it up, you can find all these podcasts at Nuga Podcast, which plural, or .com, or the Jeff Styles. We'll get better at this. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Yes or no? I put that out there. And
is a hot dog a sandwich?
And do you,
I have never considered that for 1 second.
I know you haven't. That's why I'm throwing out there. That's kind of hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
okay.
It is. Hot dog's a sandwich. It's a piece of meat slapped between two, slices of bread.
This is how we bring the divide back. We pull each other closer. Is these kind of burning questions here on
my last one for you is.
Oh no, it's not going to be fun.
No, sports.
Oh,
Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Okay.
To unretire at the age of 49 after his exhibition bout with Tyson a little bit later on this spring. He retired back in 2017 after he beat the hell out of Conor McGregor.
Okay.
Just beat him like a yard dog. Retired at 50-0.
So what are you going to do? Is come back out?
He's going to compete. He's going to box. Does anything spell the end, the absolute last nail in the coffin of the sweet science of boxing more than a 49-year-old coming out of retirement to actually compete against the young?
It had about a 4-year run there with Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. You had Fury. There was a time when they could have done what we did in the 70s and 80s, and they should have just fought each other in that trilogy. They should have gone back and forth, and there was a time where they could have, I feel, saved boxing. Instead, the attention went to the Pauls of the world and these exhibitions that we all can clearly see, for the most part, until Anthony Joshua shatters a jaw. Most part, they're just rigged sparring sessions.
Just taking your money.
Just taking your money. And I think Floyd Mayweather, I think he's a good boxer.
He's a fantastic boxer.
He's not one of the best ever, in my opinion. I think
he's a fantastic
boxer. He's a great boxer. But my point is,
he will not be remembered like Sugar Ray Leonard or Mike
even
Tyson
Roy Jones Jr. or any of those. But if you're coming out of boxing, and if he competes and he competes well, I think it's a credit for him. I also think
it would be a nod back to old school to a degree.
I guess.
Older school anyway.
Or it's also a testament to the state of boxing.
I think that this is what we're looking at: clown shows.
100%.
We're looking at MMA fighters fighting boxers. It's almost like a bad man contest.
All right,
the last thing, and this is another thing that we had to skip on Friday. The new base in Gaza, military base. All right. 350 acres, $500 million, 5,000 troops in this military base. And we barely glanced across this topic on Friday. And one of our listeners, now viewers, actually got my number from somebody and sent this in. And so I'm glad I thought about it before I ran out of time.
Okay.
And just said this. And I'm going to direct this to everybody. 2 days ago, Trump announced the United States would contribute $10 billion to Trump's Board of Peace. The Board of Peace was allegedly created to implement Trump's redevelopment peace plan for Gaza, quote unquote. To this end, the Palestinians will be represented by Nikolai Mladenov, a Bulgarian. My words here. The Palestinians literally do not have a seat at the table. 2 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip living in hellish conditions don't have a seat at the table. But a Bulgarian politician who Trump appointed to the board. Not a single actual Palestinian is on the executive board or the Gaza executive board. Trump created this Board of Peace on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum back in Davos. He said his Board of Peace may one day replace the United Nations, things we've talked about. Certainly will be there to oversee, overlook, maybe aid it if you're trying to be very positive. Work with. Mm-hmm. Trump appointed himself chairman for life, true story. Trump appointed the executive board himself, including his own son-in-law, Jared Kushner, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Here's the big thing. Trump de facto controls all funds donated to the Board of Peace. 2 days ago, he announces the U.S. contributes $10 billion to the Board of Peace. Explain to me the legal process whereby the U.S. Treasury can, on the president's orders, transfer $10 billion in taxpayer money from the general fund to a non-governmental slush fund controlled by that same president for his own personal use without any budget legislation by the House, passed by Congress, signed into law by the president. Show me where in the Constitution, where in the U.S. Code, this would be legal in any fashion. Show me. I will leave that out there for you. Eric Buchanan can pick that one up.
And me and you, I will add my 2 cents. Until I know the details of it, if you were to say, Clint, what's your gut reaction to that? That sounds shady as hell.
It does.
But again, I will say what I say about Trump every single time, and I'm proven right, I think, a lot. Let's see what shakes out and what the reality behind the headline is. And if it turns out that it's shady, then shut it down. Just shut it down. I have no allegiance. I'm not a cult of personality. I am a conservative, and sometimes we do things right. Sometimes
Clint
we do
said
things
something
wrong.
on Friday before he could be on camera. I'm going to make him repeat it again here today.
Oh, no.
He said very, very loudly and clearly and plainly in plain English, he said these words: "I'll be so glad when we don't have to even use the phrase MAGA
No,
anymore."
I'm all in.
I know,
I'm all about
and
it,
it made me feel good upon re-listening.
Listen. Yes,
Ready to move on.
Can we find a new normal where conservatives know who we are? And I will say, I think Trump's done a lot of good with that. I think he's forcing us to have a conversation, what it means to be a conservative. We got comfortable. We had a malaise come over us. We didn't know what to stand for, when to pick fights. We just became a kicking dog, or a dog that gets kicked. I think it's great for conservatives. And I think he's also forced liberals to figure out who they are.
I'd rather be a kicking dog than a dog that gets kicked every time. Hey, I'm going to ask you, what should I do with my beard, with my hair? So I'm going to be on camera. Just any grooming tips will be accepted.
Alchemy Med Spa will be able to help you.
There you go.
Bye, everybody.